obviously, the story of the day, I didn't come on and do anything about it because I think that it was handled uh, so well in so many places, and it really is a baseball thing because that's where John Sterling lived, and very much a Yankee thing. I did go on with Dog today to discuss John, who we knew. I knew John. I knew John before I did the fan. Um, I talked today about how I listened to him when I was a little boy. He used to do a talk show on WMCA. I listened to it when I was in grammar school. I listened to it a lot. There's no question. And I was like, wow, that was more than anybody else in town. That was really my foray into sports talk radio, was Sterling Show. I still remember, and Mimic the commercial, La Vegalante, if you go back with the show, you understand what that means. What I said about him today was, I knew him through a lot of his broadcasting jobs, and he had a lot of them. He was an accomplished play-by-play guy. He had great pipes. He had a lot of jobs. And then he landed the job or wound up in the job. And I think for a long time he had his eye on television. But you know what? The radio job for the Yankees was the spot because the play-by-play guy, as you know, gets completely cut out in the postseason. And that's what this is about. And that's what really made him. He was there for all those years. He was there with all those winning teams. He was there with all those wonderful players. And he got to do dramatic game after dramatic game after winning game after winning game and be there for 8 World Series. Do you know how many broadcasters dream of being a part of 8 World Series? And winning 5 World Series, and think of all the rounds of the playoffs as that has become part of modern baseball. Think of all the dramatic moments that led up to those trips to the World Series. And he was there for every one of them. He never missed a game. He wouldn't miss a game under any circumstances. Most years he did 9 innings. A couple times he had broadcasters in the booth with him who would do a couple innings. But for the most part, it was a Sterling broadcast. And he found his home in that booth because it was the perfect stage for his kind of broadcasting. And he broadcast in a different way. The way I would describe it is, and a lot of people criticized how he did it, because he wasn't the techno broadcaster, the very technical, very precise broadcaster that a Gary Cohn would be, who's flawless, or a Howie Rose would be. He was a guy who looked big picture. He didn't follow the ball. He didn't tell you who was doing what. He didn't tell you where the ball was half the time, but he gave you the big picture, and he was there for the big moment. He was a big moment guy. And then obviously the home run, which I've said many times, Dog had a big part of, because he was the first one who really started playing the Sterling highlights. And I know the highlight that it started with, it wasn't even a home run, ironically. It was Bernie goes boom. And I was so enamored with the triple Bernie hit that night against Tampa and the call that we played it over and over and over again that day. And John was a talk show guy. He loved doing talk shows. He wanted to always do talk shows on FAN. He was a huge Mike and the Mad Dog follower. And he loved, when he was driving to the ballpark, we were talking about him or playing his highlights. Well, then off the Bernie goes boom, triple, Dog started really playing his highlights a lot, his home run highlights. And then I think he started crafting those because of the response he was getting. And then later, all the shows picked it up, and then obviously it became part and parcel of his signature to create one for every player. And what was the one going to be for the new player, for the new star, for this, for that? And that became his cottage industry, as was the trademark the Yankees win. And the Yankees won a lot when he was behind the microphone as the legitimate voice of the Yankees. He was there forever. He did every game. He did almost every inning of every game. And he was, for a lot of Yankee fans, who forgave him some of his different ways of broadcasting and really got into the drama and the entertainment and all the excitement that he brought. And remember, he was blessed with an incredibly good voice. So this became his life, and this became his legacy. And that's what everybody is honoring today. And I think from what I've seen, they've done, from the Yankees to Major League Baseball to other broadcasters to everybody in town who's in the media, I think everybody has done a very nice job in being very generous and doing a very nice job in really honoring him. Now, it's a sad day when anybody goes, obviously. He had been very sick lately. He had suffered a heart attack. I knew that. It's never enough years, no matter how many years it is for anybody. He was 87 years old. He worked up until the last couple of years when physically things started to deteriorate. He had some other issues even before the heart attack, to where he physically couldn't do it anymore, because it was going to take that for him to leave. He was never going to leave otherwise. His voice was never going to fail him. Even if his eyesight was failing him, his voice was never going to fail him. And he leaves a legacy. There's no question. And a legion of Yankee fans who loved those calls and cherished those calls on a cold winter night when there was no baseball. But and a way to look back at all those great Yankee games and all those great Yankee wins and all the dramatic moments, all the big home runs, all the things that we lived through. And let's be honest, from 95, which was a heartbreaking year, through the early years of the 2000s, really changing with that crushing loss to the Red Sox in 04. Yes, they won a championship in 09, and that was a very important championship on a lot of levels. But from 96 to 04, they were an incredible show. They won all the time. They were in it all the time. They were the team. And he was not only a part of that, he was the soundtrack of that. And that was a great time here. I mean, I think back to 96, the pink Cadillac, the incredible ride. I think back to what went on in 98 and 99 and even 2000, where the Subway Series left us high and dry. It was not as impressive or as exciting as we thought it would be. But we still had that moment. And then everything that went on in 2001, both in New York and around New York and everything else, through the disappointments, well, the positive, then the negative of 03, the crushing collapse in 04, still, he was there for every bit of this. And Yankee fans grew up with him. He's what they knew. He's what they listened to, whether they were in their cars, had the radio under their pillow, in the backyard, at the beach, at the game, whatever it would be, or just reliving the moments of the game. It was with a Sterling call. So he created an enormous legacy for himself, and that's what everybody honors today. So rest in peace. He had a terrific life. He leaves a legacy that I'm sure, and he should be, and his family should be, and his kids should be very proud of. And, you know, the best thing they can say about you in this business, if you're a broadcaster, is that you brought a unique quality. You were different. There was nobody like you. And I think that's true of John. John was different. There was nobody like John. He was eccentric. He was dramatic. He had a flair. He was very colorful in his life. I mean, just I laugh because knowing him personally, you would laugh at some of the stuff, but the impact he had was clearly illustrated very, very poignantly today, and very well today in our city and throughout baseball. I saw it on the Met game with Gary and Keith, who came back from his back surgery, and I'm glad to see Keith back and healthy, or getting healthy, through Major League Baseball, through what Dog did, through what the Yankees did for the game, through what everybody did. So may he rest in peace.